Welcome back to Middle School Math Masterclass on V Volume Part 2. We did the last video of prisms, which were rectangular and triangular prisms. Now we're going to do the three-dimensional pyramid, as you can see behind me. Pyramids are triangles that come together at a point at the top. That's called the apex here at the top. And this bottom is the base, and in our math formulas that would be the capital B, the area of the base of the pyramid, okay, or the bottom. But we want to say capital B for the area of the base. Don't ever just say for the base, because that gets confusing when we do base times height for rectangles and squares, or half a base times height for triangles. Capital B is the area of this bottom down here, okay? See, it says base there. All right. So we're going to take a look at a couple pyramids before we begin. Pyramids are famous. Everybody's seen some pyramids before. The most famous being in Egypt. Okay, here's some pyramids. The pyramids of Giza. There's the main, magnificent, huge one. Got some smaller ones. And everyone knows, what is it that guards the pyramids? The Sphinx. Hey, puppy. Oh, sorry. All right, yes. So the Sphinx is out front of the Giza pyramids. The Giza pyramids are really large. The blocks are really large. For example, let's get some perspective. Look through my shoulder there. There is a camel. Look at the person down on the ground. Person on the camel. Those blocks weigh tons, okay? And we can take a look at another one with just a gentleman standing near the blocks. Look at that, they're up to his shoulders. Picture, guys, I want to tell you, you could have two people on each side of a block. It's not going to happen. Four human people are not going to carry one of those blocks. That's what's so crazy about the pyramids, is the engineering feats that had to take place with primitive tools and technology back then. How did they do it? It's still somewhat of a mystery and debated. We can look at, if you climbed on one of the nearby pyramids and looked at the other, ooh, let's go for a flight. Ah. Okay, look at that. See, these are the steps or levels of the pyramid going down, and you can see how high up in the air it is. Look at those little cars down there. Okay, pretty cool. Okay, now there's other pyramids, aren't there, class? There's a famous pyramid on our continent in Mexico, and you can see the people, some tourists up on top. Okay, here's some people down at the bottom. Pretty big, pretty huge. And the cool thing about that location, and I'm sorry I lost my mouse, there's more than just that pyramid. Look at that. Y'all have seen that big one in the background. What is it? Teotihuacan or something like that. Teotihuacan, something like that. Huge. Depending on the angle of the sun, it can look more white or more dark. It's I've noticed that in many pictures. Pretty cool. Here's an aerial of it. Look at that. Pretty massive. Okay. Is there anything we can see for perspective? I mean, there's smaller structures. I can't really make out any vehicles or people. Pretty huge. But just so you can get some perspective, how big is it compared to the Egyptian ones, huh? I wonder, is there a way we could magically put them side by side or on top of each other to see? Yes! There it is. Boom! Check that out. So you know which one's the Egyptian, right? Yes. It's pretty cool. So only about barely over half the size of the Egyptian pyramids. Amazing. And there's yet to maybe be some discoveries made, folks. Some mountains have been under suspicion of having pyramids underneath them and are waiting for, there has to be archaeological teams to present and request special permission to excavate and things like that from countries and things. And a lot of times there's some of those mountains are in holy sites, and whether there's anything under it or not, who knows if we'll ever get to find out. All right, but the reason, of course, I'm doing pyramids is because our our lesson today is on volume part 2, pyramids. How do we find the volume of space inside a 3D pyramid? Okay, so I'm going to share the screen. We're going to take a look at an IXL, which has some problems. I did hit record. Yes. Okay, good. We are live. Roll it. We're going to go to, instead of the whole screen, we're just going to go to the IXL screen, and boom. All right. And that's where we're going to finish. It's just like the last lesson. There's only 4 levels, okay? So let's start off at the first level. First, I'm going to get my trusty writing tool. I'm going to go with red this time. Text box. And you'll always have the formula for the volume for 6th and 7th grade on your reference sheets. You don't have to memorize these formulas, but you could memorize them after time and after practice and use, okay? So volume equals 1/3 of the area of the base, big B, times the height of the pyramid, okay? So let's break that down. It's 1/3 of basically length times width of the bottom, and then times height, okay? Now this is a rectangular prism because it has a rectangle on the bottom, so that's why it's length times width or base times height there. If it were a triangular pyramid, it would have just 3 sides of the 3, there'd be 1 bottom and then 3 triangular sides or faces around the top, forming the apex, okay? So the one thing I will recommend when dealing with the volume of a pyramid, you're always going to have to deal with this 1/3, okay? Now I can change the order. That's 1/3 times big B times H. So I'm going to put the 1/3 times the one that is actually divisible by 3, okay? So like if the first number ends up being a positive number, in this case they're both going to be divisible by 3. But you'll see what I mean later. Anyway, for the time being, length times width of the big B, the area of the base or the bottom, which is down here, is 3 times 3. That's going to be 9. Okay, and then the height is 3. So it's really length times width times height, and then divided by 3, or times 1/3. Okay. If I multiply 9 by 1/3 or divide 9 by 3, I'm going to have 3. So I'm just going to end up with 3 times 3. So my answer is going to be 9 cubic feet. And it's feet to the 3rd power, feet cubed, or cubic feet. Oh, nope, can't do that. Let's go undo that one. Oh, it undid everything. Sorry. But I need to go to mouse, and we came up with, I believe the answer was 9, correct? 3 times 3 was 9. That was an entry-level sample problem. Before I go on to the next problem, I'm going to hit refresh on this page. I want to show you something, guys. Anytime you start a new lesson, besides watching my video for tips and tricks to watch out for, the first problem, I'm waiting. I might be having internet connectivity issues. The first problem, they always have this right here. Learn with an example, okay? Now, I just showed you an example. I'm going to show you a few more. But if you're not sure, I don't know if I've ever pointed this out to y'all before. You can learn with the example to explain to it. This is a rectangular pyramid. Here's the formula, 1/3 of the capital B times H. And they tell you that the capital B represents the area of the base. And then down here, you see they're doing the area of the base as a square. 3 times 3 is 9. And then the height of this particular example, they show up here, the height is 5. So 5 times 9 would be 45. However, we still have to do times 1/3. So I would look for the first thing that's divisible by 3. 5 is not. So I would do 9 divided by 3 is 3. So you have a 3 here times 5 is 15. That's your answer, okay? So that's something I'll talk about in a little bit. Also, then if you miss it, and if you don't know what you're doing, you're like, oh man, I don't know how to do this. I'll just throw in any number. And it tells you a correction, okay? It'll say the correct answer is 4. And they'll tell you what you answered in case you thought you entered the right answer. And then you're like, oh, well, I must have hit the wrong key, right? Yeah, sure. And then they explain how to do it. And they show you the exact same thing here. So you can see an example anytime you want. The only problem is if to see an example you choose to miss one, you lose a lot of points and go backwards. Okay, my kids already know this about IXL. And for anybody else, I think you can do a free 30-day subscription to IXL to try it out. Otherwise, it costs money to permanently belong to it unless your school has it. Our school, I don't know if it's our whole district, but our school has it, and it's wonderful. Most all of us teachers love it. Okay, so we did level 1. Let's do level 2. Now it's a triangular pyramid because the base or bottom is a triangle, okay? Now, notice it's a right angle triangle. So that means I could count one of these as the height and one as the base, okay? All right, let me get my text box. I'm going to write the formula here. Volume equals 1/3 capital B times H, okay? So it's going to be 1/3 times the area of the base. So to find the area of a triangle is 1/2 times base times height, which is 10 times 5, okay? Let me move my box over here. Oh dear. Oh, I gotta hit select, sorry. Gosh, that's all I want to do, guys, is move it over. Okay, now back to, then the height of the entire triangular pyramid is the 9, okay? So it's gonna be times 9 on the outside, okay? Now, let's look inside the parentheses first. I'm still gonna have this 1/3 here, but inside the parentheses, I'm gonna take 1/2 times 10. So what's half of 10? 5. And then 5 times 5 is 25, okay? And then I still have this 9 over here. Now here's what I was talking about. When I'm getting ready to do that 1/3, I'm not going to do 1/3 times 25 and get some crazy fraction or decimal. You can change the order. When it's all multiplication or all addition, it doesn't matter what order you do it in. So I'm going to change the order to 1/3 of 9 times 25. Save the 25 for last, okay? So what's 1/3 of 9, or 9 divided by 3? It's going to be 3, and then I have times 25 left. 25 cents, that's like a quarter. How many quarters? 3 quarters. What did 3 quarters equal? 75. So that's going to be my answer. Let me come up here to this mouse. 75. Thank you. Wonderful. Wonderful, Greg. You're so smart. Thank you for making these videos to help people. All right. Well, they're fun too. I mean, a lot of math, a lot of teachers like their subject, so it is actually fun for me. Okay, let's get the text box back. So again, I'm gonna have 1/3 of, I'll just put capital B times H, okay? So 1/3 times what? So this is a rectangular pyramid. Now they're gonna throw that, we're getting higher levels, they're gonna throw out some bigger numbers that make us have some issues. So I don't know off the top of my head. I know 11 times 11, 12 times 12, and I used to know 15 times 15 is either 125 or something like that. But 18 times 18, that would be the base. The big B is the area of the bottom, or the big base, the area of the bottom. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that on my calculator. 18 times 18. 18 to the second power or squared. I'm assuming 15 times 15 is 225 now that I've done this. 18 times 18 is 324. And then times the height is going to be 19, okay? So the next thing you want to do, can I take 1/3 of 19? No. What about 3/24? Well, let's try. The 3 divided by 3 is 1. The 2 is not divided by 3, so it's a 0, but the 2 is still there, and the 4 drops down next to it. How many times does 3 go into 24? 8. So it's going to be 108 times 19. Let me get out my trusty calculator. 108 times 19. 19. So 2052 is my answer. Now, I honestly don't know if they want to count the comma or not. That's the thing about Excel, is they have to program every possible answer that's correct, and sometimes they miss one. I'm going to go without the comma here, whereas normally we would always enter a comma. Yes, you got it. All right, we're going to the last level, folks. I'm going to clear. We just did that, and now trying to get it. There it is. Okay. A rectangular pyramid has a base that is 12 yards long, 12 yards wide. Pyramid's height is 10. Oh my gosh. Okay, so they don't have a picture. That's all they're doing here, guys. This is length times width times height. It's got a rectangular pyramid bottom. So if you wanted to draw it, I guess I can do that since it's the last one. We can be patient for a second. It's saying it's 12. That's not straight, but I'm going to try to make it, no. Oh, you know what? I can do this. Silly Greg. I forgot I had this feature. Yeah, it kind of looks like it's a square. So it's 12 times 12. Okay. Next, I need to make a straight line. So it's a rectangular pyramid, so it's going to go like every single corner is going to go connect at the apex. And then lastly, okay, so that's a rectangular pyramid. Let me get a text box and we'll finish this up. Last problem. So the volume of a pyramid is 1/3 times big B times little h. Okay, so it's going to be 1/3. The area of the base or the bottom, the big B, is going to be 12 by 12. So 12 times 12. We already know, I said that before, it's 144. Then the height is 10. Okay, so I have 1/3 of 144 times 10. Now 10 is not divisible by 3. Hopefully 144 is. Actually it is. So 3 goes into 14 4 times, which would be 12. There would be 2 left. If you put that 2 in front of the last 4, that's 24. How many times does 3 go into 24? 8 times. So I have 48 times the height left over, 10. So my answer is going to be 480, guys. How hard was that? 480 yards to the third power, or cubed or cubic yards, however you want to say it. All right, guys, there we did it. All the levels. You've done pyramids. You've done, let me get my mouse. I'm going to close this out. We did the volume before this, word problems of prisms, rectangular and triangular prisms, and then we did some rectangular and triangular pyramids today. All right, so y'all are good. We got the pyramids. Good job, guys. You're awesome. Love you. Peace out.